Gotcha.
Okay.
We're only going to grab like 2 sections. We're not going to mention plugins, and then you guys can add more if you want, or you can move to other pages.
And I'm sharing the entire desktop now.
Okay.
And it's recording.
Wonderful.
Hello.
All right. Yellow border's nice. Okay. Let's get out of this. So we have downloaded our bootstrap template. It looks like this. It's going to have your CSS folders, your font folders, a bunch of other things like plugins, your JavaScript. It's got a bunch of HTML documents. These are basically demos of what your pages could look like. You can use them in a text editor to get different containers that you like or different divs that you like. And then here's the license. Always check your license. MIT license is really friendly. Some other licenses, if they find out that you're using it for commercial, they'll sue you into oblivion. So be careful with that. What we went ahead and done is the www root folder in your project is going to show you basically all of these static files that the program needs to access for the website rendering. So we have moved everything that's in the CSS folder into the CSS. Same thing, we're going to move fonts into here. Oops. Images actually already exist, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into images, and we're going to take everything from in here, and we're going to move it in. Going to go back. You should already have a JavaScript folder, so it's the same situation. You go into that folder, grab everything, move it. Unless you don't exist, I'm not 100% sure what that does. I believe it has to do with mobile development, but I'm not sure. Plugins, you should not have a plugins folder unless you've added extra things. All right, so we've moved everything. We're going to move 2 more things. We've got a couple demo pictures here. Move this guy out of the way here. The soccer photo is going to go into images, and then our new logo is going to go into images. And we'll reference those later. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open up one of these templates and take a look at it and see what we like, what we don't like. So the first thing we want to look at is the index. I'm going to open it up. It's going to open up in Chrome. And this kind of gives you an idea for what the site can look like. You'll notice it's got some nice little JavaScript here that changes. Nice clean menu bar. I'm a big fan of white websites. It just makes it a little smoother. And then it's got some nice JavaScript stuff here. For the project that we're working on in our group, we don't need a lot of this. So we'll probably just grab this top part here, and then we'll probably grab this bottom part here, and then we'll go from there. So closing that. I need to open this in some text editor. You can use Notepad, Notepad++, Komodo, Visual Studio Code, or you can open it in Visual Studio, which is what I'm going to do because I don't have another editor handy. All right, so taking a look at this, it's your pretty standard HTML website. It's got a head and a body. The head is all the things it pulls in, like the title that shows up at the top of the page, all the style sheets, things like that. And then you have your body, which is split into the header, the actual body, and then the footer. In C#, as opposed to regular HTML, we actually render those separately. So you'll notice if you go to your views, shared, and then layout, it's going to have a head, and then it's going to have a body, and anything we want to repeat throughout our website is going to be in the body. Mostly that's just the nav bar. And then we actually have this thing down here that's at render body. So that's all the things that are going through the controller, through your different views that are actually generating the content. The other stuff is just things that are on every single page. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by swapping the head into there. So let's start by commenting out everything in here. Shouldn't need any of this. Those of you who don't know, the comment in and out button are here. Sorry, I have some people following along. I just want to make sure that we are keeping up. And then we're going to go back to our index. We're going to grab everything from the head up here. You'll notice that some of the things are the same. You have your char set that shows up, the title of the page that shows up in the tab, different meta things that show up, references to a favicon if you have your own favicon, it's the little symbol that shows up in your website. And then you have down here, you have your references to your style sheets, plugins. Now, on a standard HTML website, these aren't reactive. They're static. They're stuck in one location. For us, where we can go into controllers and things like that, and it changes our URL, we have to change the beginning of these. So the way you're going to do that is you're actually going to set it to root, which is the little squiggly guy, and then a slash. You want to do that for all of these. Because if not, it's going to work on your home page, but then it's not going to work on any of your sub pages.
So this allows it to carry over to the...
Correct. Anything you bring in between the two is going to stick. All right, so we'll save that. The next thing we want to do is we're going to switch out this nav bar. Most of you are probably still using the standard nav bar, so definitely make sure you comment this out so that you save your links that you've changed. Because if you get rid of those, you're going to have to recode everything, and that's a huge pain. All right, and then if we go into our index folder, we've got a nice nav bar right here. That's what we're going to grab. It goes all the way down to the end of this div. We're actually going to grab the header as well because it has some class that is affected by CSS. So we want to make sure we're grabbing that so that we maintain our styling. That's the whole reason we're bringing in this stuff. Let's go back to our layout. Now your regular layout won't have a header in it. You'll notice that the base CSS doesn't have one unless you've added it yourself. Okay, we'll go ahead and save that. The last thing we're going to really change here. Now you'll notice I'm going to actually touch back on the nav bar real quick. You've got your classes here, your hrefs. These hrefs aren't going to work because they aren't referencing what you want. They don't look like your standard nav bar does. So here, if we wanted to go to the home page, we've got the way that it's set up in C#, but regular HTML does not look like that. So we'll have to change those later on to make them work. But we're going to go ahead and skip ahead of that, and you guys can do that on your own time. It'll be great. All right, so we're going to skip over the body for now because, again, we render our body by itself. Scroll all the way down. We're going to grab all this stuff in the footer. So it starts here, footer section start. There's the end. We're going to grab that footer. You probably don't have a footer, or if you do, it's only one line. Take a look here what the standard has. It's just one line there, so we're going to replace that. Footers are very important because they do contain the copyright, especially if you are taking a bootstrap template from someone else. Normally you have to keep this copyright in place unless you pay for it. So we're going to keep that. And down here at the bottom, you'll notice that there are a bunch of pre-built-in scripts. We're going to get rid of those because, again, we're not using the pre-built scripts. We're going to use the ones that come with our nice template. We're going to get rid of this render section. I'm actually just going to delete it, but I suggest you comment it out in case you need it. And then we're going to grab all of the scripts that each of the pages will need. All right, so we've got our scripts. Make it saved. Now, we're going to take a quick look at what it actually looks like right now. Pre-warning, it's probably going to be ugly. So what we've actually done now is we have shut off all the old JavaScript and brought in the new JavaScript and styling sheets. But we actually haven't changed anything in our body. So we still have all the same classes from the old JavaScript. So they actually don't have anything to reference to now. So it's going to default to its basic pattern.
You say the render body is what's bringing into,
Well, we actually haven't used any, we haven't changed what's being brought in. So what's being brought in is still using the old JavaScript classes. We're going to change that on the home page, and then we'll also, I'll show how to do the about page for anyone that still has those. You guys still have the about page, right? Wonderful. All right, so your guys' nav bar is still there, so that's nice. It has the new style drop downs. It should, yeah, they pull up. And then scroll down to your footer and see if it's the new footer. Yeah, so it is. So it's got your different social media things and then the copyrights in there. So that's great. But we actually haven't changed anything of the body of the website.
Yeah.
Sorry for anybody watching at home. I'm actually boot camp running this, so it does take a little bit longer. One day. And there we go. All right, so as you guys can see at home, we have our new nav bar. It looks just a little different than the old one. It's got these nice handy drop downs. You'll see that the colors change when we go over something. And then if we scroll down, oh, we can. This is it. You can see the new footer here that's going to be on each page. Keep the copyright, keep the links, and then you've got your social media here. And then this stuff in the middle is still the same body that we had before, so you have the same type of slider thing here and all the same content. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that next. So we can save our layout page, close that. We'll come back to it later. Actually, we're going to stick on it for one more second. I'm going to show you guys how to change that logo because you want to stick with their logo. So I've put a different logo that's been made here in our www root images folder. It's logo.jpg as opposed to logo.png, so that's nice and easy to change. And just like before, anytime you reference a static thing, you need to make sure you set it to the root because if we then go to the about page, it's going to crash. Let's go ahead and debug that just to make sure that that change works. Nav bar right at the beginning of the body. That's the head. There's a difference between head and header. There you go. Logo.jpg. We changed it from JPEG to PNG. And then make sure you add the root thing you did.
Oh, we changed it from JPEG.
No, it needs to be JPEG. You haven't changed that yet. Okay, go ahead and save that and then run yours and see if it JPG. Yeah, for easy. There you go.
Should I just stand for the refresh this?
You should. Yeah, if you're working and you left up the debugging, you should just be able to refresh it and see the new logo. It's going to look a little better than it does now. We're going to make a little change to the style sheet here in a minute. All right, so we've got our logo here, which is where we want it to be. It's a little lower than we'd like. That's because there's some padding built into here. If you want to look at that, you can always inspect an element. Those of you interested in CSS or HTML, it's definitely something you're going to get used to doing. Full screen this here for you. And drop this down to the bottom. Do that. There we go. All right, So if I inspect this element here from update, so it's in this div right here, navbar brand, and then if you click on the styles, it actually tells you what styles, where it's pulling its style sheets from. So it's inheriting some stuff from A, but it's getting most of its stuff from the navbar. Some of it's inherited from the body. All right, so I'm actually going to leave this up. That way maybe I don't have to keep pulling it up. All right, so the first change we're going to make in that navbar is we're actually going to go to the style sheet, and we're going to get rid of the padding, because that's actually what's holding it up. So a dot symbolizes a class. Let's copy that so I can find it nice and easy. Open up our CSS, and then it is in the style.css. If you didn't know where it was, you can always hit Control Find, Control F, and then search through the whole document if you want. It'll track down whatever you're looking for, but since we know where it's at. Navbar, what's it? Header. Navbar brand, and then just regular A. Okay. All right, so it's right here. You'll notice that it has a margin top 0. We don't actually want that. We're going to set that. Actually, no, that's the wrong one. Where did I type wrong? Get rid of all of this. Just going to add the padding because we want no padding. You do need to put in that there is no padding, because if you don't, it's going to try and inherit the padding of the Again, you'll have to forgive me. I'm switching back from Mac to Windows, so I'm running into a little copy-paste errors. So we'll go ahead and save that. Refresh our window. It should hopefully move that up a little bit. If you ever make a CSS change and it doesn't do what you think it should do, always clear your cookies. Sometimes your browser will download a cached version and keep it. It works for you?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Then I'm not going to worry too much about it on our side.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, great. So it's now in line with all the buttons. That's what we want. All right, moving on. So we're done with our layout. Save the changes there. We do still want our index folder from the bootstrap because we want to steal some more stuff from this. So we kind of liked the way the opening looked. All right, with a nice big picture. That's the style nowadays. So if we scroll down through here, it'll tell us where it's at. Slider section. So it's this section here, the hero ID area. If you're unsure of what section that is, you can always, again, click on it and inspect it after you get to open the actual HTML file. I'm not going to do that, but so we are going to go to our views, home, index. This is our home page. This is all the stuff that comes up, the carousel that's there, all of the Microsoft stuff that you see at the bottom. This is where it lives. And that is the main meat of the page. That's the actual body that gets rendered when you do render body. If you've put a lot of work in your website, I definitely suggest commenting that out. I'm just going to delete it here because we don't need any of this for our purposes, except for the view data if you want to keep your view data.
Okay. Some of the groups have been putting in the view component to create something like the dashboard.
All right, so this is our middle here. Let's see here. We're actually making this for a soccer website. So I'm going to change the text here so it looks a little different. So we just want to say, we'll do all uppercase here to make it look nice. looks good. Go ahead and save that. We'll refresh our template here. Close the inspector for now. Oh no, that's not good. Do I have to pause this or anything?
You might have to go back to tools and then see if you can read the application steering.
Alright, sorry about that everybody. I changed the description. So now you can see that we have this nice big picture here from where we brought it from the template. We changed a little bit of the text. Everything else we're going to leave the same for now, and then everyone can adjust how they want. This background image doesn't make a lot of sense. We don't like that. You can go ahead and inspect that and see where it lives. I already know where it lives. It lives in the hero area, which makes sense because that's the name of the div that we grabbed. So if I go back to here, get back to my style sheet. Up, hashtag hero area. So there it is, hero area, and it's grabbing slider.jpg. So we have a new picture here, soccer.jpg, that's the same size, so it should work just fine. Go ahead and save that. Grab our Chrome. Let's refresh this and see how it looks. Again, sometimes you have to clear your cache. It lives in the hero area. There should just be one by itself. You'll notice there are other ones for buttons and things like that. We can also change this back to root, just in case we want to reference this on any other page, although this is specific to this one div, so you shouldn't have that problem. Make sure our IntelliSense is completing. Okay, great. Mine may not actually update because I am.
Mine did.
Yours updated. Okay, that's great.
Doesn't look great.
That's wonderful. Okay. Again, mine isn't updating as fast as theirs, so we're going to go ahead and skip ahead, and then maybe we'll get to see a nice finished product one day. All right, so looking back at that, one other thing we don't like about this is we've got this nice black and white picture with a little spot of gold on it, and our logo's gold, so the aqua doesn't really make a lot of sense. So if we inspect that element there, which this turned out to be the most frustrating part of this, because it keeps changing. So if I click on this, over there is my style sheet.
Mine doesn't look like yours. What is that?
Well, go ahead and click up here and change it to,
Up here?
yep, the dots. Change it to the bottom. Get rid of that box. That's just like updates. There you go. So,
Here.
yep.
Colors.
So if you click on one of those, this is all the style sheets. You can scroll down through there, and eventually you'll see a color. So right there's the color. It's inheriting it from .cd headline, .slide, .cd words. Oh my gosh, it keeps moving.
Yeah, I'm kept moving on mine.
That's how it is, because it is rotating. So we can go ahead and find that. I've got it here. CD or .cd dash headline .slide, and then there should be another one. CD word wrapper. No, that's the correct one. So go ahead and change the color. The color you're going to want to change that to. I've already done some Photoshop checking to see what the color of the gold on the picture is. It's hash C8A 237. we're going to find that. It was right here. Can't copy and paste between my windows for some reason. So that's what's slowing me down. Right there it is. A 237. All right. Try to refresh this again. I might not have mine changed, but that's okay. That's what happens. Oh my goodness. One thing you can do if this is happening to you, you can always open your debugger in a different browser, which is always good to test anyway. I'm going to go ahead and open my Internet Explorer and see if it looks different. Make sure all the things are working. Your guys' work? Great. Wonderful.
So we just changed it from the Aqua to the here.
Where'd your background image go, though?
Oh, man. I don't know. Oh, man.
Go back to your CSS sheet. Go ahead and find the hero area. It accesses that. So there should be another one. Keep going. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, it should be there. Yeah. I can try.
Try the other start.
Yeah, I'll just show you.
It also might not work with the root. Let's see if I changed it here. I did not change it with the root. So you might have to go back to the dot.
Change it, okay.
Yeah, I think it's not working. We'll change it. There's just not.
All right, looks like I have the same exact problem. The dot instead of the root. The reason for that is that CSS acts a little differently. So, there it is. We'll change this to dot so it just goes back a folder and then looks for images. This is also fine if it's static. You'll just need to remember that if you're on a subfolder on a controller, you'll have to create a different div, maybe a different name, and then add a second // so that it goes up 2 folders instead of just the 1. Refresh this. You'll notice that we have our nice gold text here. We've got our logo. Logo is centered where it's supposed to be. It moves with the page. All right. Starting to look like a soccer website, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right, we wanted to grab one other thing for our front page. So if we go back to Visual Studio, we go back to the index that we have. You can tell the difference between these two from the CS HTML and regular HTML. CS HTML being what's in your program, HTML being what we got from Bootstrap. We liked this thing down at the bottom. I believe it is this call to action. That's what we liked. So we're going to go ahead and grab that call to action there. We're going to put it in. So it is the entire section. See. And in my body, make sure you're in your index because this is what's going to render. You don't want it to render on every page, just this one. Down at the bottom, should go in there. Yeah. Looks like it's got a little problem here where it's got an H2 going to an H1, so that I'm going to change that because that's not how that should work. Go ahead and save that. Oops. We'll refresh this page and we'll see how it looks.
I can change this color too. Cool.
Alright, so we still have all our stuff here, and then we've got a nice little message box down here that they could put updated news or maybe a invitation to get emails or whatever you want here. The only problem is that we're back to that gaudy blue, so we're going to change that to the gold as well. So again, you can inspect this to figure out exactly where it is. Not 100% sure how the inspect looks on Internet Explorer, but it's just terrible.
Pretty ugly, if you ask me.
Yeah. But the section ID is call to action, so we can actually go find it in our CSS.
The call to action.
Yep, and it should be a hash because it's an ID, not a class. So type in call, it's the first one that comes up there. It's got a background color. We're going to change that to the same background color that we had before, which is C8A 237. Go ahead and save that. Go back to our tests. Refresh this. Actually, I'm going to close out of this first. Again, that inspector is bad. Make sure you're using Google Chrome or Firefox. Now we have a nice matching border. Looks good. Looks the last thing you could change if you wanted to is you could change this to black or white, doing the inspect as well. But we won't go that far. All right. So the next thing, the about page doesn't work. Click on it, just goes away. You might remember from me talking earlier why that is. We go back to our shared tab where the home bar lives. So shared layout. Scroll down to the menu bar. The about page is, where's it at here? It's right there. Notice that it's an href. That's not going to work for what we want, not in C#. You can make it work, but why do that? So we're going to go ahead and grab this about. Control C, Control V, boom, save. So now if I go back to the home page, I click on About, everything should transfer the menu bar, the bottom, but everything in the body is still wrong. And the reason for that is that we populate the body through the different views that we've made, not through the layout. So we're going to go ahead and find the About view, and we're going to mess with it a little bit. Taking a look back at our Bootstrap, they actually have an About page listed. So let's go ahead and open that up, see if we like anything in it. That's pretty nice. We got a little picture there, some more stuff. Doesn't seem too bad. So we'll probably go ahead and grab that. So we'll close out of this. We'll open this up in our Visual Studio. And we'll take a look. We don't need the header or anything like that because, again, we load our header through the layout. In the body, this is what we want. We don't need the nav bar because, again, we load our nav bar right here. Global page header. Don't need that either. There we go. Company description. We're going to grab that section. Control C. And let's go to our views and go to About. You can notice it's basically empty. So we're going to go ahead and pull that stuff out. We don't need these headers. Paste it in. All right, so we've got our stuff here. We've got an image you could change to whatever you want, maybe a soccer player, maybe a coach of the year, something fun like that. Change all this data. I did, yes. Save that. Go back to our demo. Let's go back to home. That home won't work, so we're going to have to go back this way. Again, because we haven't updated our nav bar to make sure that that works. All right, so click on About now. Well, something's not right. We're missing a little bit of our container, but that's all right. We can fix that. Everything else is there. The picture isn't loading because the link isn't set correctly. So if we set the link to root / that'll fix the picture. Save that. And then we need to figure out what container is different between our HTML and theirs. So looking back here, make sure I grabbed everything. Sometimes you'll have to reference the other ones too as well to make sure that this is one of the problems that you have with Bootstrap is that you're downloading someone else's work that they've clearly put a lot of work into. So there are a million little things in this that maybe you won't notice or maybe you won't know how they work, and you're going to have to do a little bit of digging to figure out exactly how they work. So I'm actually going to take these two divs, section and div. I'm going to put them around this. So I'm going to need an end div and end section. We'll save that. We'll see if it works. Refresh this page. There we go. We've got our picture back. We've got our centered nice. We still have our nice top bar. We still have our bottom bar. Everything we liked about that. So in a little under an hour, we've been able to make a pretty decent looking website. Our own logo, our own things. So what it's up to you now is to go find a Bootstrap that you like. Make sure it's compatible with your Bootstrap. The way that you can check that by going into your www root folder. Go to CSS. Oh, not CSS. JavaScript. Open your Bootstrap here. And right at the top, it should tell you what the version is. If you download a 4.0 or higher, it's not going to work. So you need to either update or find an older template. And you should be able to follow all the steps that we did here. Make sure you use that inspect tool to figure out anything you want to change. And just try and get a feel for everything in the Bootstrap that you download. There's a lot going on in this one. It's got a nice 404 page, some galleries, single portfolios, and then tons of back-end CSS if you look at it. Most of it's going to be in a style, but sometimes you might run into something else that's in here. It's a little weird. Maybe it'll look different on your phone because it references the minin instead of the regular style. So just play around with it. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is hlooman, L-O-O-M-A-N, @mail.wvu.edu. Hopefully you guys get this all working.